The new academic year has officially begun, and it's very easy to slip into bad habits even though we've told ourselves that we really want to maintain some good habits. And these are 10 things that I'd really highly recommend you think about trying to avoid doing this year if you want to be a high achieving student. The first is procrastination. Don't procrastinate. And I know it's easier said than done. By putting off doing your assignments, by not revising, by not turning up, by just kind of wasting time, you're leading yourself in a pitfall where by the end of the academic year, you're going to end up with a ton of work, missed deadlines, and then you're going to have to end up going to extenuating circumstances just to get yourself out of the situation. Just try to avoid it in the first place if you can. To do this, try to practice effective time management. Have a schedule for when you want to go over your notes and stick to it, and make sure that you're kind of starting your assignments as soon as possible, not leaving it to the last minute, asking for help for it for when you need it, and you won't end up in that situation. Don't skip your lectures or your classes. It may seem like it's a waste of time. It might seem like you're not learning anything. It might seem like you can do it yourself at home. But actually, having that person in front of you, having that expert in front of you, speaking about the topics that you need to be learning there's nothing that matches it. And you can't, you can go away and learn the topic yourself, but having that examiner that's going to be asking you those questions right in front of you is like no other. By showing up, you are able to ask questions, you're able to engage with the material. It's not the first time you're seeing it. It just maintains discipline as well, which is really important, especially when you go into the workforce. You can't just not turn up for work. So yeah, don't skip your lectures. The third thing is don't neglect time management in general. And this really comes down to the first point I said about procrastination, but just making sure that you are really, really careful with how you spend your time and how you manage your time and balance sort of all the priorities that you might have in your life. Don't try to cram in too much extracurricular activity or too much socializing or revising all day, all night. I mean, have a balance and manage your time well. Use a planner, use Notion, use online diaries, use your phone app, and just have a good time management schedule that you want to stick to this year. The fourth is do not plagiarize and do not be academically dishonest. I'm speaking about, for example, AI on this platform so much, and that's not because I'm telling you to use it to copy and paste, because that is academically unethical. Stick to being ethical with the way that you use tools that might seem really cool and that other people are showing that you can use. You'll end up in a situation where you are plagiarizing and you'll lose out on your whole degree. So don't do it. Make sure that you're citing your sources correctly. Make sure that you're not copying and pasting work. Make sure that you're being honest with what you're presenting as yours. Don't try to do everything alone. And this again goes back to my point of don't skip your lectures, make sure you're present, make sure you're asking for support. And if you need it, regardless of what that support is, it could be academic support, it could be financial, it could be personal. There are departments within your university that can actually help you. And I've seen it too many times where there's a student that might, for example, be dyslexic and not know that there are so many resources, money, they can give you a laptop, there's support for you, they can reduce your kind of grade boundaries, and that's all, because they've actually spoken and because they've actually asked for help. You should ask for help if you're at a disadvantage in any way, or if you're suffering with something, or if something happens to you within the academic year. Ask for help and don't try and do things alone, and especially don't leave things to the last minute where it's kind of there's no turning back. And again, I've seen this so much where students really struggle throughout the year, and then it comes to sort of a deadline or the exam period, and there's nothing they can do at that point because you've left it too late. So if something's affecting you, just speak about it as early as possible. The next one is excessive socializing, and I sound like a mum here, but it's important to say because I've seen both sides of the coin where you're going out too much, you're having a great time, and you're neglecting your studies. Remember what you're there for. Your purpose of being in university and paying £10,000 a year or possibly more is to learn and to study, right? So that's the purpose. But we do need balance. So we do need to have a good time. So of course, don't neglect the fun. Go and have a great time, but don't be excessive with it. Don't stay out so late that you can't wake up the next day for lectures. Have a balance, and that is what works best. The next one is a tough one because again, I see it so much, is neglecting self-care. It can be things like nutrition, sleep, diet, healthcare, just looking after yourself. If you're not looking after yourself as a person, you're not going to be able to achieve your best at university. And that's something that you can slip up on really easily. Not eating well, you're not at home anymore, maybe you've moved out, so you're not eating good food, you're not sleeping well because you're just chatting with your flatmates, your roommates all night. And so as a result, those things are backfiring and they're going to give you insomnia, they're going to give you maybe possible health issues, and that's not going to help you be your best self when it comes to studying. So have a balance, look after yourself as a person, and everything else, but also make sure that that's kind of balancing out with your academics as well. The next thing is, do not ignore feedback. At school, we tend to ignore feedback, and I think that's probably where these habits come from. At school, our teachers tell us, write your essays like this, or don't do this in the exam, and we kind of just think we know better than them. And I mean, that's pretty normal. It's a young thing to do. But when you go to university, this is where sort of you have these academics and they're giving you feedback on your assignments, they're giving you feedback on your essays, and they're telling you how to improve. Don't ignore them. They are your examiners. At school, those teachers are not your examiners. At university, those teachers are your examiners. They've written the exam papers, or they're going to write it. But that is the content that they're actually teaching you. So don't ignore them and actually listen to them. And use feedback as an opportunity to grow, both personally as a human, but also academically. And this is a great skill to have in the workplace, because in the workplace, you'll be given feedback all the time on you as a person, which is something that we're not used to getting, but on you as a person, the way that you work, your productivity, things like that, but also on your actual work, so academically too. So it's a great chance for you to kind of learn that feedback isn't a personal attack, but rather it's a way to critically sort of kind of work on parts of you that you could improve. Don't do these long cramming study sessions last minute, and don't aspire to either. I know it's a trend. I know I've seen it on YouTube where study YouTubers will sit down for 10, 12, 24 hours, whatever, and study. I'm going to be completely honest, a lot of that time you're not absorbing anything. That's what the research says anyway. If you're sitting there for 10 hours and you're studying, the majority of that is not going into here. The majority of it, you are of course learning, you're of course kind of thinking about the information, but in terms of memory and recall, most of that is coming straight out. So I would say it's a lot better to kind of stagger your study sessions, study a bit this month, study a bit, next week, study a bit more, and kind of like keep building that up. So when it comes to exam period, you can of course study a bit more, but you're not cramming and trying to get all that information in with long 10-hour study sessions. It just isn't sustainable, it's not healthy, and it doesn't actually work. And last but not least is failing to set academic goals. If you're watching this video and you've got this far, well done. It means that you're actually passionate about trying to improve yourself this year and find, know and identify things that you shouldn't be doing. And one of those is not having goals. Goals are so important. And when I say goals, I don't mean like having this nice car or like having a big house. Those are nice life goals. Okay, we're gonna get there in the future. What you're thinking about right now are what your academic goals are. You want to achieve a first by the end of the year. You want to get a 80% on all of your assignments. You want to make sure you're completing your assignments on time, starting as soon as possible. Those are all goals. And your overarching goal could be, get a first. But what are the small habit goals that you want to achieve? So on a day-to-day basis, what are goals that you want to make sure that you're kind of hitting to overarching, kind of have that target for getting that first that you want at the end of the year. Having goals helps you maintain some sort of sense of purpose as well. You know what you're striving for, even when things get really tough, and it will, when things get really difficult for you. If you have those goals and you know what you want to achieve, you can just look back at that and say, right, I know I want to achieve this first. I'm going through a tough time right now. It's not easy. It's not meant to be easy. And when I achieve it, I'm going to be so proud of myself. And that's how you want to kind of frame it. And that's why goals are so important. If you don't have them, you've got nothing to look forward to. I hope this video is helpful, and I hope it's helped you think about some things that you want to avoid, I guess, this year, if you want to be a high achieving student at university. If there are any other tips that you'd like to give, leave them in the comments down below. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I'm also on TikTok and Instagram providing short form content, so go and find me there, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.